I call to order this meeting, November 20th, 2023, meeting of the North Liberty Library Board of Trustees to order.
Awesome.
Item number 2 on the agenda. Are there any additions or changes to the agenda as it stands? I see none. Seeing no one in the gallery, there will be no public comment. Item number 4, approval of the minutes for October. Did we see the?
I sent them, I put them in the packet this morning, dropped them into the packet
They
this morning.
aren't pulled up. They don't pull up when you
They don't.
go to the packet on the.
Yeah, they're.
You can exit out and go to them if you need to. If you go
Yeah.
out of the packet
Well,
and back out,
I saw them.
they're in
I
the
read them.
Or if anyone wants to.
folder.
Can I
printed a
see
hard
that though
copy.
for names?
Yeah.
Thanks, Scott. Thank you.
Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Yeah, I'll motion to approve.
All right. Do I
I'll
have a second? We have a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Hearing no nays, the minutes for October are approved. Item number 5, staff introductions. Kelly.
Hi, good evening, board. I am Kelly Forkenbrock, your public services librarian and certified entrepreneurship librarian. Today, I am presenting Entrepreneurship and Libraries, how North Liberty Library is connecting books and business. So I wanted to just share a little bit of my pre-library background and some of my current background that makes me qualified to talk about this particular topic. I spent the first 20 years of my career in sales and marketing so I think I sold everything from portrait packages and air filtration systems to multi-million dollar testing contracts. So it was pretty much the heart of what I did, and it's wonderful that I can bring some of those skills to my current position. In April of this year, I was certified. In April of 2021, I was given a certificate of completion from the American Library Association's Business Outreach for the Public Librarian. And this past April, I was certified through Libraries as Launchpads as a certified entrepreneurship librarian. I am also an active board member. Some of the past boards that I've been on include the Iowa City Public Library, the Girls on the Run of Eastern Iowa. I'm the current board treasurer for UNESCO City of Literature. So those are some of my qualifications to talk about today's topic. And one thing that you'll see in these upcoming slides is something that I kind of stole from one of my idols, Oprah Winfrey. She often says, something, this is one thing I know to be true. So I'm going to be sharing some of those tidbits throughout this very short presentation to show you why businesses and libraries are a great match. So first, I want to lay out some fast facts. These facts come from a paper from Knology. Knology is a reporting group and research group that works with the American Library Association. And in their paper, Where Urban Libraries Fit, they shared the following statistics. 49% of all new entrepreneurs have used library resources for business purposes. 45% have used the library for something other than books, meetings, and/or Wi-Fi access. However, the 68% who didn't use the library never thought of us as a resource. And what I know to be true is that libraries make businesses better. And the picture to your left are just a few of the partnerships that we've formed over the years. Many of them predate me, and they are always available to support the library because they see the advantages of a partnership with their local public library. Here's a few of those benefits of connection. Number one, we get to engage more patrons. Typically, a local business owner or a person who is looking to step out as their own entrepreneur may visit the library under the pretense of bringing their families in, or maybe just going through the library to go through the rec center. However, when we engage those same patrons who passively use the library to talk about how we can benefit their business, that helps our engagement expand because now we are serving multi-purposes for those patrons. It also is good at expanding our partnerships. As I mentioned, the library has many partnerships with local businesses and nonprofits and other organizations. But when we work together, say on programming or on a fundraiser, it really expands what the scope of the partnership looks like when they understand how much of a vital resource their local library can be for their business needs. And third, it is embracing community. I think that that's the number one thing that we always want to try to do. I know as public services librarian, it's very important to me to make sure that our patrons feel welcome. And if they see us partnering with other businesses, especially local businesses that they use, and especially small businesses, they can see that the community support is more expansive, and they will also embrace the library in different facets as well. And of course, what I know to be true is that everyone, including local business owners and small business owners, love the library. Here are just a few of the engagement strategies that I use when I talk to businesses and organizations about the library. First, I like to frame the conversation as a service chat because at the end of the day, libraries are here for our main purpose is to be of service. And when one thing that I noticed the difference between my previous sales career in the private sector versus what I do now here in the public sector is that coming at it, had the conversation at a point of service, what we can do for them is the best way to frame the conversation with the business owner or organization leader. Also, inviting them to library events that align with their mission. I was recently at a conference with Jenny. It's the ARSL Conference Association of Rural and ARSL, yes, Association of Rural and Small Libraries. And during one of the sessions, one of the presenters also talked about that, how it's just easy to, if you have an event going on, let's say you have an event that is an artistic event, if you notice someone who comes in who also owns an art gallery, don't be afraid to tell them, hey, we have this great art event going on. Now, they may not be interested in attending it, but it leaves a great impression because it shows that the library values art and that it values artists. So they would more likely look at us in a different light in the future and consider us for other needs in the future. Also, including them in cross promotional ventures. This is where the partnership element comes in, making sure that if they need help from us, we can help them. Again, of course, with the library, there are some rules and procedures we have to follow for how we can promote businesses. But if they are doing a free and open to the public event, then we can assist with that as well. Also, scheduling a pop-up visit, just popping up in my capacity. You'll see I have my name tag and my badge as an ambassador for Greater Iowa City. Pop-up visits are a part of what I do as an ambassador to represent myself as a librarian and also as a community member, but also scheduling pop-up visits with folks who may be interested in using the library is a great way to engage local business owners as well. And last but not least, probably the easiest thing you can do is say their names in rooms, making sure that you make notice of North Libertarians who are out here grinding and they're trying to create businesses for themselves. And if we can support them in any way that we can, whether it's offering a meeting space or other resources, that's always helpful too. And what I know to be true is that intentional engagement can lead to program partnership. This picture is an example of program partnership that I got from intentionally engaging one of my fellow ambassadors, Catherine Tran. She is the founder of the Immigrant Entrepreneur Summit. And we, this past summer, we joined forces together to present Business Beyond Borders, which was an evening of conversation with local immigrant entrepreneurs. And we had about 25 attendees, which is pretty big for an adult event at our library. And I think the event went well. It was the conversation that happened afterwards, which was so awesome because we got to meet most of the audience were immigrants who wanted to know, how do I get into my business? How can I relaunch my business? How can I partner with one of the panelists? So those conversations that came up are just so rich. And it's such a great way to not only platform immigrants in our community, but also provide them with an opportunity to talk one-on-one with these individuals. So in addition to just reaching out, events, programming, there's also conferences and other connections that I enjoy making with local entrepreneurs while representing the library. As I mentioned, I am an ambassador. This is my second year as an ambassador for Greater Iowa City, which was formerly known as the Iowa City Area Business Partnership. I was also an MC this past summer at the Immigrant Entrepreneurship Conference in Cedar Rapids. And I served as a co-chair for the Entrepreneurship and Libraries Conference just a couple of weeks ago. And I've worked with ELC, the Entrepreneurship and Libraries Conference, for a very long time since I've been a librarian. It's just a wonderful way to meet other people, other librarians all over the nation who are interested in the connection between public libraries and entrepreneurship. And then what I know to be true is rural libraries are a vital resource for local business owners, but we have to show up. Very often as librarians, we tend to stay on the ground and work with our patrons on the ground, which is absolutely important. But we do need to make sure that we're reaching out and letting folks know that the library is a resource for business owners. As Wayne Wiegand, the very famous library professor, once said, libraries have a marketing problem. And I think that what we do at our library is we really do go above and beyond to engage outside of our doors. And that includes showing up at events like these. And that first picture, you probably can't see me, but I am emceeing the Immigrant Entrepreneurship Conference from this past August. Right here is also a ribbon cutting I just attended for the Johnson County Historical Society in the Iowa River Landing as an ambassador for Greater Iowa City. And then this was just featured on the website for the Entrepreneurship and Libraries Conference that just passed earlier this month. So that's all I have tonight. But again, I just want to thank you all for your support. And as we continue to position ourselves as a library, I always tell our newest hires, we are not just books and Wi-Fi. We offer so much more. And in this vastly growing world where people can choose whether or not they want to come into the library, we want to make sure that our local business owners and entrepreneurs know that they have a safe space in our library as well. Great. Any questions?
That was great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Appreciate it.
I think you're so right. The libraries have a marketing problem quote. I think it's awesome
Yeah.
to see that. I think, every library often talks about like the biggest thing librarians can do is get out in the community.
Yeah.
And so it's really cool to see that you're doing that
Yeah.
on behalf of North Liberty. And
I think most of our staff is able to get out. I mean,
Yeah,
we have
that's
our
awesome.
adult services librarian who's always doing pop-ups and just really just getting out there and letting people know that, hey, the library is still here, especially during post-COVID times.
Right.
It's just, we've been seeing people coming back into the library, and that's always a good thing.
yeah, that's
The
great.
trend is really toward starting to bring the library out to the public.
Yeah.
in many ways. So
Yeah,
we're
I
seeing
love
a lot
that.
of that.
That's awesome.
It's extremely important
Yeah.
to, especially if there are people who don't realize, like what you have to offer at the library, the resources part of it. I mean, I know that I just posted something on my Instagram about the propagation, plant propagation corner, because I thought it was,
Yeah.
but like people wouldn't know that that's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With little plant drip patrol. What do you call it? Cuttings? There we go.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for having me tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Kelly.
Kelly.
Thank you.
Oh, I thought I unhooked it.
All right.
There we go.
On to item 6, reports from the director.
Yes. All right. So the budget, we are, as as I say every month, we're in really good shape, actually. We're at about 30%, and the average is 33. So we're sitting well, even despite, some of the higher numbers you see. I did want to I wanted to point out the ebooks
Yeah.
because that's encumbered. And I thought I'd just show you guys this month that it's about 78% of our budget from the ebooks is already with Overdrive. So we expend that pretty quickly, and then we toward the end of the year we decide if we're going to shift more into that or whether we need it in other areas, so that it's fluid. Does anybody have any questions about budget?
Nope.
All right, so shall I move on to reports?
Yes, please.
All right. I am just submitted the FY25 budget proposal last week. No big surprises. It's a fairly, we've kept it pretty flat. We knew going in, Ryan's been prepping us along the way that we are in a challenge with some of the things that are happening with state legislation, just concerning trying to make sure we can make ends meet in the city. So I tried pretty hard to not do too much. There are some areas, the ebooks is one that we always want to keep up with, and then just some other areas that I asked for about a 5% increase, but the rest of the lines I tried to keep as low as possible. So we'll see. We have our meetings over the next month. This is a little earlier than we normally do things. The budget is actually due the 27th to Ryan, but I am off this week, so I wanted to make sure that I had that in their hands before then. And then, so I did want to just talk a little bit about the statement of concern, and I don't know that we need to make we're not going to do any action obviously tonight about it, but I wanted to, I've been in conversations with some people from Every Library. And Every Library is a big, huge national organization that has supported libraries, particularly one of them in Iowa with Pella. Most recently, if you guys have seen the news on Pella, they were trying to disband the library board and move it to a city council run library. That did not pass. It was slim. It was like 82 people voted to not allow that. So that was one thing that Every Library did to help them kind of get the word out to the community. So that's kind of what their role is. But one of the folks with Every Library, Peter Bromberg, and I had a meeting this month. And one of the things he talked about is wishing that libraries would do away with statement of concerns altogether. And his thinking is that there's no other real political or government organization that has something like that where you can just say, hey, I don't like the way you do that. I want you to stop doing it. Or whatever the case may be. Should we have an avenue or a way for people to contact us if they have a comment? Of course. But more like thinking on the lines of a comment form on the website, or that they can comment in person with me, having a step through that way rather than and just doing away completely with a statement of concern. He would like to see that be a national movement. I don't know how fast that'll happen. I know that I did some talking on American Library Association about it on our Connect group where we can talk about these things on our forum. And I had a lot of people reaching out to me saying, wow, this is really intriguing. I met with a librarian from Key West last week who was very interested and brought it to their state library, which I really liked, and they're probably going to do it. I also I also emailed back and forth with someone who was just like, I don't understand how you can do that. We have such a vast array of materials. And I said, you just gave your own argument. Like, that's exactly why we can do it.
Right.
We are trying to provide the array of materials for everyone. So to say that and it's sort of like saying, if we're going to allow anyone to use a library, we're going to have those same things on the shelves of the people that can come through our doors.
Did Iowa City
Iowa City has not ever had one.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I honestly thought that they'd done away with it. Yes,
Yeah.
that was my thought. But I talked with Ann Mangano, who's their collection development librarian, and she told me that they've never had one. Lolly Eggers, who was the librarian in the 70s there and earlier, did not believe in them. So that was not something they had, and they've
Cool.
never had an
Yeah.
issue with not having one. That said, I don't know. I think it's something for us to think about over the next month or two, and maybe we talk
Yeah.
about whether I wanted to get your views on it, get you thinking about it to see if it was something that we wanted to maybe consider.
Okay.
I would like to talk a little more about our city attorney with our city attorney. I know when we talked about it earlier, he felt like in some ways it was sort of a protection for us, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I'm not sure that we need to provide that avenue for folks. So just something I wanted to bring up and get your opinions on, I guess. Does anybody have any opinions? Or do we want to just put it on the table and maybe talk about it at another meeting when everybody's together and we can?
I
Yeah.
move that we
Discuss it.
table it.
Okay, let's do that then. Just wanted to kind of raise it for you guys to kind of start thinking about it. I just finished my one-on-one meetings with staff. I do a meeting with all full-time staff. Kelly's actually going to start doing it with all the part-timers. We meet with all the part-time staff when they start. They meet with all full-time staff to just get to know us and know what we do at our jobs so that they can kind of understand and it helps people feel supportive of the organization when they know how it operates. So I this time took it on the road. I took all the staff out for coffee or lunch of their choice and met with them just outside the library walls. It's just good for everybody to get out of the building once in a while. It was just really a good thing. I gave them all a few questions to kind of ponder so that they weren't coming in cold turkey, and we had some really good conversations. And then just talking about meeting room software, our meeting room software is being discontinued next year. So Nick Shimon, who's our adult services librarian and also has an IT background, has offered to kind of review other products so that we can look at shifting. And he's kind of keeping me apprised of the different ones that are out there and available. What's really ironic is that the current product we have, there was a feature that I never liked about it that I asked them if we could figure out if we could put in a request for them to change it, and they told me no. And now they've updated it and have this thing where you couldn't change rooms for a meeting. Like, so if someone reserved a room, I can't go in and change it. I have to completely redo their entire reservation to shift them to a different room. Now they have a button that says change rooms. It's so weird because now they're not going to be there. Like, if you would have fixed this would have been even better software. So it's interesting. So more to come on that. We're not going to be in a rush. It's not until I think October 1st of next year that it goes away completely. We'll probably try to do it fairly soon. Then they'll prorate our next year for us. So we'll see where we end up. We are having our legislative reception in a week, or November 30th, so a little bit more than a week. I'm hoping that folks can make it. I've heard from at least one of you. I don't know who else, but we have 22, I think, so far that have said they're coming, so that's really exciting. And a few legislators have already responded that they'll be there. Not all of them. I know at least one told me that he can't make it, and one just declined immediately. So I don't know. Well, that's interesting. We are going to have Sam Helmick from Iowa City Public, who is a fantastic speaker on intellectual freedom. They speak all over the country on that subject. And also the candidate for ALA president this year, which is very exciting. And then Liz Peterson, who is from the Springmeyer Library in Tiffin. Liz is the school librarian, but right now is the unofficial public librarian as well, because the public librarian retired and they have not named anyone or done anything with it. So Liz is just sort of doing it. So they are going to talk from the school side of what the book challenges, the impact of book challenges are having on the public. And Sam will be talking a little bit about something that I also talked with Peter Bromberg about at Every Library, which is the monetization of what book banning, the cost of banning books, not only buying it with taxpayer money, the time and energy that it takes staff to work through and set up the committees, purchasing books for everyone to read on the committees, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot of interesting impact. The next thing is also the reason why I met with Peter is that I was invited to pretend.
I have no clue.
I have a potential opportunity to co-read an op-ed piece for Iowa. We're talking about probably the Des Moines Register with every library. I have been trying to help them pinpoint one more person to co-write with us. So we're still working on that, and I think we're hoping to have that done in January. But I'm pretty excited to be on board for helping them with that. And I'll share with you. I actually have an example. If you guys are interested, I can send it to you of what it could look like
Yeah, that'd be great.
from one that was on the East Coast that they did. The annual contribution letter will be going out here shortly. I can't believe we're almost to December. Melanie's working on the community report for us with the annual report piece, so that'll be coming your way, and I'll share the annual report with you guys next month as well, just for the state what we have. And then just going to some meetings. We've had onboarding. We have a new management company for the Iowa Library Association. So on the board, part of that was we just had a meeting in Des Moines to get them started. We're very excited. I think they're going to do really good things for us. They are they work also with the Iowa Transit department, so they are very attuned to governmental affairs and legislation. They're just very well equipped to take this role, and I'm very excited to have them. And then we trekked last week to Cherokee for our annual planning meeting. That has been typically in Johnston. And may I just say that in Johnston, they usually point us to the room and we go in and set up all the tables. They don't come to the meeting and participate with us at Johnston, and we don't really see them. But we decided to move it over to the northwest side of the state to give some folks who don't normally make it to the meeting a chance to come. We had 22 people there, including 7 board members and friends of the library folks who greeted us with delicious bars and coffee, and then participated in the meeting, which was really cool to see. And then their chamber was there to greet us, and someone from a local bookstore. It was just a wonderful event, and they were very excited to have us, which was a little bit of it was kind of delightful because we haven't had that at our other locations. So we're pretty excited. And then on Wednesday, I went to the PolicyWise conference in Des Moines, which was put on by Common Good Iowa. It is a nonpartisan conference just talking about policy at the state level and what that looks like and how it impacts Iowans. It was a lot of folks from Human Services and a few legislators that were there. It was about 60 people, I would say 60 to 80 people. They were hoping it would be a little bigger. I think this is their second year, and it was a little larger last year. But I made some good connections, and also just they talked about telling your story to people who don't necessarily agree with you. And there was a couple different workshops on that I attended, and so that we can, when we're talking about the man books and how we can maybe reach across the aisle and find some common ground on these things, which I think is going to be really important going forward because we're not finding common ground on the subject. So it was really interesting to get to attend that event. It was just a one-day event. And then I am super excited I just was invited this month to a library leaders conference. A friend of mine, John Bracken, who's a colleague out of Chicago, had told me about this. He just told me he wanted me to come to Miami. He didn't tell me why. And then I get this email, and this is why. The Knight Foundation actually is hosting it, and it's all expenses paid by them. And in February of next year, so that's a lovely time to go to Miami. And it looks like I watched just a couple of the webinars or a couple of the presentations there. It looks like they're all in one room, but it's about 35 to 40 people. So it's a smaller group, and it was a lot of New York City and Chicago and LA and Las Vegas and sounds like North Liberty next year. So I'm pretty excited to represent the small and rural there. And see what it's all about. John is the director of the Digital Public Library of America in Chicago and works really closely with and gets some funding from the Knight Foundation. So I think that's how that came up. And then just staff reports. I didn't know if you guys had any questions or if there's anything you want me to go over in more detail. I thought Kelly's thing was interesting. I didn't know that the Greater Iowa City changed their name again. it was the chamber when I started with them. So they're fine. Hopefully they'll find their identity now.
Someday.
The Moonlight Walk was a fantastic event. Very, very busy.
Yeah.
And then I'm always astonished by the number of people, especially like the youth and teen folks serve during the month with their stuff. I liked it. And then I liked Melanie showing some of the statistics for you guys from the marketing perspective. That's one thing that we have 2 full-time marketing people that do that work. And when we talk about not doing enough, there's a reason why we have 2. Even I was sitting in Corvo, we're like, you guys have 2 full-time marketing people? And I'm like, yes, because we know that's our bread and butter is getting the word out to the community. And I somehow did not get Nick's report in here. I don't know what happened there. I don't know if it wasn't in there when I was doing this or if I just missed it. So apologies for that, but I can tell you a couple of the things that he's done that are really cool. One is that he had a Bob Ross painting class, which was very successful and apparently a lot more labor intensive than he remembered from when he did it in his past. And then he had he's done a couple different crafting programs that have gotten around 30 people attending. They love those. They fill up really fast. And then he's working very intentionally to look at the advisory on loneliness that came out this last year and how we can be a catalyst for people coming together in community. So that's one of his big goals and something that I think he's doing really well. And I apologize. I don't know what happened there with getting his. Apparently I had a blip. And then the collection development stuff, which Andrew likes to do charts for you guys and show you what's happening. So he focused on adult fiction this time around. We're definitely seeing a bounce back in our circulation numbers in general, which is nice to see after COVID. It's been interesting that the resources, the e-books are always a big hot commodity. E-audios have gone down a little, which I've found a little bit interesting because they were really high. And he's talking about graphic novels dropping, which is interesting too.
Yeah.
And if he weeds them, they might actually go out more. It's really interesting if you take things out of the way. Sometimes they find others. So, or I don't know. He said he has a hard time weeding them. He admitted it.
It's
And that is
understandable. You have your favorite.
and that is all that I have in the report. Unless you guys have questions for me.
Nope. No questions.
Oh.
So let's move on to the policy review.
All right. I don't know if you guys had anything. Brady did have something that he wanted me to bring up, which I think is really good. And I can read you what he sent me that we could either tweak or I can continue to kind of look at it. And we could either go ahead and pass it with me just making some updates based on what Brady's feedback was, or you guys can choose to table it. I did remove the hygiene piece out of this because that's just been recommended that people do that because they're just folks who don't have the ability to have products or to get a regular bath or shower. So we did decide to take that out. Brady was uncomfortable, and I don't disagree with him about the new edit with the viewing pornography in a manner that would be visible to minors, just the wording of it. So he looked up the actual criminal law procedure in Iowa code and how it's worded with things, and just suggested any person other than a parent or guardian of a minor who knowingly disseminates or exhibits obscene material to minors, including the exhibition of obscene material so that it can be observed by minors. I probably will make this a little less legalese, but I'll maybe work with our city attorney to see if I can come up with some wording if that works for you guys. And he did provide the code number, but I'll again check with Grant to make sure that all that information is correct. And then we can always name that code in parentheses, which we've done in a couple of our other things. That is really the only two suggestions that we had, recommendations that I had. But did you guys have anything else or see anything additional?
I did not.
Okay. So-
I did have a question.
Sure.
Is it clear where 30 feet is from the library, the community center, and the rental house? I mean,
For the smoking?
yeah.
That's the state law
Okay.
language.
I'm like, because like I cannot.
I usually, if I see people
Okay,
out
just-
there like smoking in front of the building,
Oh, yeah.
I will just ask them to cross over to the other side of the parking.
Okay.
I don't know how clear that is.
It's like
But-
5, 6 me's.
That yes, I just ask them to go on where the lawn is on the other side where it's off property completely.
Yeah.
Then they're not on property. They
Yeah.
don't have to worry.
Okay.
They're not supposed to be on the property smoking. So
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not. Yeah. We just use state wording for it. Is that
It's good.
Okay.
I can't,
sure?
I don't know what 30 feet looks like. I do, but
Yeah. No.
The other thing that I think stands out just a little bit is the wearing insufficient clothing. And I only bring that up just because there's been so many dress code cases in the news targeting girls.
I could
right?
definitely make that more specific. It's really about shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was wondering if it was like
Yeah.
swimsuits or something.
And,
coming from
and
the-
honestly, the kids come in sometimes in their swimsuits, and
Yeah.
we don't really say anything.
Yeah.
As long as they're
They're wearing shoes.
basically moving through and not
Yeah.
hanging out without their shirt on in the library.
Mhm.
But I can make a note to update that.
Cool.
With this much extra editing that we're doing in the conduct policy, shall we?
Just table it and
Table
bring it
it
back
until-
for next one. That's
yeah.
that's completely fine with me.
To give
and that
Brady and-
was under unsafe and disturbing.
Give Brady and Jack an opportunity to see all of the changes that are suggested.
Okay. Okay. Trying to make my phone work here.
You were doing great with the iPad.
I can't make an iPad work. It's
You
just
must have held the button down and made Siri come on.
something I don't know.
She does that sometimes. All sneaky like.
Okay. Now I just have to remember to do that when I get back to work. And look at my notes. Okay. And then as far as the art policy, display policy goes, there was really no feedback from anyone, and I didn't see anything that needed a change. It's pretty, it's short and sweet, which is how we like them. And then we have just an agreement that Kelly works through with each member. She has that art wall booked through 2025.
Wow.
Sweet.
So we are full up of
Awesome.
artists.
That's great.
There's a lot of them around.
So if you guys don't have anything, I would just say you could approve it as is unless you have suggestions.
All right. So we'll table the conduct policy. Do I hear any motions to approve the art display policy?
Move to approve
All right,
our display
Jamie.
policy.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Hearing none in the negative, the art display policy is approved for another year. Right.
I'm actually just adding a calendar reminder to myself to
Okay.
update these when I get back.
It is a week. A lot can happen in your brain.
I know.
Exactly.
And I made a note to myself in my phone, but I'm like, I might not see that note.
All
Okay.
right. On the agenda, there's an item 8 for board training. Is there any training that we need
That's
done?
I think maybe Jack was confused because and I didn't catch that one.
Yeah.
When he sent us, I updated the staff introductions to go up above. We kind of talked, so I think those two are the same thing. But I think when we discussed it, I just confused him probably. So
I understand.
that can just be like we're done. We've already done it.
Board training is. Do we have any old business? Item number 9.
No.
No old business. Do we have any new business? No new business. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
A second?
I'll second that.
All right. We are adjourned.